you go about as a leader, showing PowerPoints and all of that to people, you should make sure that you perfect your skills in this field. And we would look at some of those ways that would help you. And then negotiation skills. As a leader, you would all the time negotiate. You would all the time be asking for something. You will all the time be bargaining with people and be seeking best deals and all of that. And you need to improve upon your skills. And it's communication that will help you to be able to do that. Business writing skills, influencing skills, cross-cultural communication, win-win conversations, and then selling skills and team building skills. All of these things have something to do with communication. And so you should be looking at yourself. Maybe if you're not able to work very effectively in teams, that may be as a result of the fact that you've not really developed your communication skills, interpersonal communication skills that will help you to work very well in teams. And in other rings as well, if there is something that you're not really doing well, you should be looking at how you can improve your skills, your communication skills in that regard. Now, here are 6 questions that can help us to really get our communication targeted or focused so that we can achieve the desired results. The first one, we should be asking ourselves, what are we communicating? You should know what it is that you have, what you want to give to the people. So all the time, get it right. It could be just a sentence, a word, or a whole, 1 hour presentation, but you must really make sure that you have got exactly what it is that the people should hear. And then, where am I communicating? The venue is very important. Sometimes we say some things at certain places that we are not expected to say those things, and that can create a big problem for us. And so we need to make sure that we look at our environment. If it's a boardroom, if it's in a staff meeting, if it's just with a conversation with your colleagues, you must understand that you can't say all the things at the same, in the same way at different places. You may need to change the message in a little way that will help the people to understand you better and not take offense or react in a certain way. And why am I communicating? This is very critical. So that's about the purpose of communication. When am I communicating? The time of day, and also, even the seasons may matter a lot. If you're communicating a message, in the evening like this, I know people are tired. So you have to energize yourself. You have to be more energetic. You don't have to do it in the way that the people are going to sleep. And if it's early mornings too, the communication style may be different. And so you must be looking at yourself and the times that you communicate so that you adapt the style that would be best suited for that time. And then, who am I communicating with? Know the people, get a sense of the audience, and make sure that you don't speak above them or speak below them, but you really talk, to them at their level. And then, how am I communicating? The channels you're using. Right now, COVID-19 has restricted us to this form of communication, and we are all learning. A lot of the things are new to us. Though I'm in a field of communication, a lot of the things are very new to us because we don't use them. We were used to some kind of traditional forms of communicating. Today, we have to do all of these things, and even right about now, I am learning a lot of things just with this particular meeting that we were setting up. And so don't just think you know everything. Always rely on people who know better in order for you to improve upon your channels of communication to reach majority of the people. For me, for example, I'm very active on social media, and I engage a lot of people through that, even before COVID-19. And it really, really helped me a lot in a lot of things that I was doing. And people were asking, how come I make a lot of friends? How come I'm free with a lot of people? And all of that. Many people think, well, because you are a news presenter on national television, you must have a lot of people in your circles. But obviously, many of the people I even associate with are not, they don't associate with me because of the fact that they saw me on TV, but because I was able to relate with them and help them in a certain way, or spoke certain things to them that touched their hearts. And I post things that really relate to them, and they resonate with them, and therefore they are easily attached, or they easily identify with my circles of friends. And so you must always look at the channels, the technology that we have now has really opened the whole world to us. And so don't restrict yourself. Make use of the technologies to expand your circles of influence. Now, there are some 7 C's that we need to be aware of as people who want to communicate very well. The first one, clarity of thought. I'll explain them all. Then consideration, conciseness, concreteness, courtesy, completeness, and then correctness. All of these principles, we must observe them if we want to make the desired impact as leaders. The first part, completeness. Make sure that you don't give messages that would leave people, wondering, so is that all? Is that all that he has to say on that subject matter? Where else can I get some other things that will help me? Make sure that you give them at least a chunk of the message that will be workable. In effective communication, we define it as information that is practical, that is usable. So if you're giving someone information that is not usable, that is not complete in a certain sense that he can work with it, then there's a problem. You have to make sure that you give them at least the complete message, and you can also refer them to other places they can get some more. Then clarity, be very clear in your thoughts and in your expression. Thoughts are very important. Sometimes we have a lot of things juggled up in our minds as leaders, and we don't really clear our thoughts before we speak. So before you come up or before you talk to people, make sure you yourself, you understand what it is that you are about to say. You would like to be spoken to in that manner. You would like to express, that particular thought in a way that the people will get it and will be able to apply it to whatever needs that they have. For example, as we are preparing for this, because we're setting up and all of that, I got confused, but I just made sure that everybody left me to myself at least 5 minutes to the time so that I can really organize my thoughts properly. Because sometimes you get lost in the in the in the busy and the hectic nature of our work, that we really, really miss out on sitting down to compose our thoughts really well before we speak. And so make sure you're clear. And then conciseness, you must be straight to the point and devoid of unnecessary words. As a leader, it doesn't mean the more you talk, the better your effect or your the people will understand you. No, you can just say one word or one sentence, one phrase, whatever it is. But once it is what the people need to know, you will make the desired impact. So learn how to be very concise, straight to the point. Trim a lot of the things down so that people can see just the points that you really want them to follow through with. And then courtesy. Courtesy is about being polite and friendly. You don't need to always look so rude and use vulgar words and speak down or talk down to people, as we say. You're always using words that will make people feel inferior. No, be friendly. You don't need to buy courtesy. You just have to be friendly, polite, and let people enjoy being in your presence. And that is exactly what leaders must cultivate. Jesus Christ, our ultimate, master, was that kind of person. People loved to be in his presence because of the courtesy that he accorded all manner of people, no matter how bad they were. The way he responded to their questions, the way he related with them, help them to actually love to be in his presence. Then correctness, all facts, language, words, information must be accurate. You must be that person who is kind of a point of reference, when we have to check out what's the fact about this. You mustn't be that kind of person where when you speak all the time, people have to come and correct you on factual or language or words and all of that. That shows that there is something wrong with the way that you are getting your communication through. Then concreteness, be very specific, not vague. Let people know exactly what you mean and don't just throw words into the air. Let them really be specific. And then consideration, understand the emotions and sentiments of the receiver. You must always consider the people. Don't speak, just in a vacuum. know that people are listening to you, and make sure that you really, really consider their feelings and emotions and their psychological state at that point, and make sure that you speak to their hearts so that they can really feel the impact that you want. Now, in order for you to develop these skills, you need to always practice, and you have to do it, the oral practice. You have to do it in presentations, audience awareness, critical listening, body language. Learn how to do that orally all the time. Make sure, because you will be delivering speeches and giving reports and talking to people at meetings and all of that. Oral presentation, get it right and practice. And then also written aspects, you must learn some academic writing, how to do paragraphing, and then also revision and editing of your own work before you even submit it to somebody else. Critical reading, reading stuff to understand what is the author's intent, and then also presentation of data, because you'll be doing a lot as leaders, and people love to see, what are the numbers. And then the last bit, non-verbal communication skills. That's audience awareness, know who they are and the kind of things that you need to do, not say, things that you need to do, your actions and all of that, that will help to convey a message better. Personal presentation, then your body language, all of those things. There are things that, meanings that people read into them. And across the cultures, you need to know what goes on for the people to get the message in a certain way, and what gestures they like, what kind of feelers, things that you say, or things that you sounds that you make, like or if you nod your head. You need to let the people really know what is it that you are trying to say, based on the non-verbal cues that you're giving. Because when you go to certain cultures like Bulgaria, Sri Lanka, when you nod this way, it means no. But in our part of the world, this means yes. And if you do this, it means yes for them. But for us, it means no. So all of these things you need to know, so that you know your cultural setting and what kind of verbal cues you need to be giving. I'm just wrapping up. Developing communication skills still, you must see, look at the picture there, poor communicator, good communicator. So a poor communicator just listens to reply. A good communicator listens to understand. So you must be that kind of person who listens to understand. And you too, when you're communicating with people, let them listen to you with a sense that they want to understand you, not just because you're asking them questions and they are in a hurry to reply, and therefore they're not really getting the message that you're passing across to them. Then also, a poor communicator assumes intentions, but a good communicator asks to understand intentions. So always be that kind of person who asks people, what exactly do you mean by this? Don't just assume that you understand what they're saying. A poor communicator procrastinates when not sure. A good communicator seeks feedback when not sure. I can't really explain all of them, and so I'm just rushing through them quickly. You can ask me questions if any of them bothers you. And then a poor communicator uses only data to make points, but a good communicator uses data and stories to make points. So sometimes you need to pause and then tell a story that would help them connect. And so make sure that you have a lot of these anecdotes, as we call them, personal stories, stories that people have told you, stories you've read or seen in movies and all of that, just as backup, and it will drive home the message better. A poor communicator makes snap judgments, which means very quick judgments, but a good communicator delays the judgment a bit before the person assesses the situation before giving the right decision on the matter. Don't be rushed. And then also, a poor communicator assumes knowledge level, but a good communicator confirms knowledge level. The person tries to confirm, what is your knowledge on this particular subject matter before I add to it, or do I need to go down because I'm assuming that maybe you already know these things. A good communicator wants to confirm. And then seven, a poor communicator holds grudge after conflict, but a good communicator lets go after conflict. There will be situations that will rough it up with people. People are going to find some form of conflict situations with us, friction and all of that. But we need to make sure that once it's work, we let go of all our petty squabbles and then get to business just after we've argued or disagreed on a matter, because we will certainly disagree from time to time. And then a poor communicator uses vague language, but a good communicator uses sensory specific language. Senses, the five senses, sense of smell. So if you want to describe something, how, the sense of the smell of something, you can use words that are actually going to convey the sense, which is about, for example, you can say pungent smell, which means you're really trying to let the person feel that this smell is really, really bad. So get your words that can really nail whatever thoughts that you have. And then also number 9, the person interrupts others while speaking, but a good communicator waits for others to finish speaking before they interrupt. And then the last bit is discounts other perspectives, but the good communicator recognizes other perspectives. You don't have everything in Eve. They say what? Nunya adidoe asime tunnel. It's just like they said, knowledge is like the baobab tree, and one man's hands. When you try to reach to the very back of the baobab tree, you cannot alone. So you have to stretch yours. Another person has to bring his before we can all reach a circle around the baobab tree. And so you too need to consider other people's perspectives on an issue before you make judgments, because you cannot be the sole repository of knowledge. So these are points that every leader must know when communicating, so that we get our communication right. Now, this book is a powerful book, and it's from John C. Maxwell, our mentor at the CTL, and it's a book that I actually teach. In my course here, it's a required reading. You have to read John C. Maxwell's book, Everyone Communicates, Few Connect. That's what the most effective people do differently. So you can be very effective if you try to learn some of these principles. And I've just brought a few of the principles here, and using it to wrap up. Connecting is the ability to identify with people and to relate to them in a way that increases your influence with them. So when we are communicating, when we are leading, we are not just trying to let people follow us, but we are trying to connect with them. We are trying to reach them in a certain way that will make sure that we have our influence increased over them. Otherwise, we are not leaders. We are just being their colleagues or followers. We are not leading them if we are not increasing our influence with them. Then the ability to communicate and connect with others is a major determining factor in reaching your potential. To be successful, you must work with others. And to do that at your best, you must learn to connect. And in order for you to do that, you have to find common ground. Don't always look for points of divergence, points that, things that separate you. Always try to find out things that, connect you, things that you share in common with people. It could be religion, it could be politics, it could be, education, whatever it is that you share in common with the people who you are leading. Start with those things before you go and bring other things that separate you, and you will be able to connect with them better. Make your communication simple, as we've already noted. Don't make it so convoluted so that people don't understand. Just make it simple, and let people really get at least 1 or 2 words from whatever you said. And then create an experience everyone enjoys. Capture people's interest. Always try, whenever you meet people and you want to engage with them, try and then create an experience that they will enjoy, that would leave an indelible mark in their minds. And later, they would love to come to you again. And that's a good leader, if people would love to come to you again. And then you must inspire them. Many times we depress people by the things that we say. You must be that leader who always inspires. Inspiration is not all about being positive. People have accused those of us who are into motivational speaking of always trying to make the world look so perfect and everything is positive thinking and all of that. It's not always the case. You can say negative things in very polite ways and still make a point. You can still correct people in a way that will make an impact on them and will inspire them. So it's not all the time about lambasting people, about looking down on them, about talking down, on them. Always make sure that at the end of it all, have I really been able to motivate this person, push the person to be able to get the best experienced, to get corrected, to get persuaded. That's very important. And then the last bit is be authentic. Live what you communicate. Don't, we don't need to belabor this point. Don't be that person who is always preaching, but not really living the kind of preaching that he or she is giving to the people. Be authentic. Let people see what it is that you've been telling them all the time, and they would connect with you better. And so if you go and look for the book, you will get very excellent points from that book. Now, read widely. These are concluding thoughts. Read widely, and you would be able to get a lot of things to share with people. Watch and listen to good communicators all the time. I'm online listening to people who communicate well, listening to people that I admire, people who inspire me, whether I'm preaching because I'm in ministry, whether I'm in leadership because I also lead, whether in journalism. All the time I'm listening to these people who are good communicators. So people ask you, did you learn all of these things that you do or say, from school? No, they won't teach you everything. They'll give you just a few. You have to do the rest yourself. So go online. There are a lot of facilities or resources online that will help you to be able to get in tune with other people who are communicating well, and then meet people and interact with them all the time. It will improve upon your skills of communicating. And then teamwork. Work with others. Don't always be independent. That way you cannot really develop your skills of communicating. Work with others, and through that, you'll be able to learn how to communicate well. And as somebody said, so what must we do? Just practice, practice, and keep practicing. That way, you will develop good communication skills that will help you to really, really have good leadership. So this image tells us that we must observe, be aware, be conscious, and then also you must also clear your mind and be brief, listen, and also understand others, have emotional intelligence. Don't always react, just whenever anything comes up. Your sense of calmness. You see that many of the people who answered the survey had a problem here. Emotional intelligence, how we react, how we respond to situations. That is critical. You need to be emotionally intelligent, assess the situations around. And I know that there will be a session on this, later. So I don't want to say everything about it, but that is a key part. Many people ask, especially when they see me and there are issues, there are problems, the way I just cool down and then make sure that I handle the situation in a certain way that is going to make me, be able to understand what's really happening, and also let everybody else feel a part of it. That's going to really, really, really help us in this regard. Well, I'm wrapping up now. And then the self-efficacy, make sure you are developing yourself, and then be confident in your ability and your skills as you're learning. Be respectful, use nonverbal communication skills, and then select the right medium and provide feedback to people as well when you are with them. These ways will help you to really improve upon your communication skills as a leader. Thank you very much for making your growth a priority. So I'll hand over to the host so that we can continue the conversation. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Conrad, for making the time and for giving us such great insights into communication. I want to thank you so much. You've made some very good points. I think the one that I'm just going to take is the authenticity. When you're communicating, you have to be authentic. You have to be authentic. And the last point, read.
Okay.
Read. Watch others who communicate. Meet with people, work with people, because the more you're working with people, the more you are learning how they are communicating, the more you learn. The connection, and the book that Conrad has recommended is a really powerful book. It says everyone communicates, few connect. A lot of us are just talking, but Communication is not about what you're saying, it is about what the people are receiving. So are you at their level? Connection. All of us know our former president, J.J. Rawlings. Now, when Rawlings, wherever Rawlings goes and whenever he speaks, you know, it just seems like he's just attracting people. He just put his speech aside and he'll begin to speak in the local language and say a local proverb and say, even if he cannot speak the language, he just gets down to the level of the people. And then they are drawn to them. Now contrast that with a video I saw about some market women, you know, complaining about our current president who is doing marvelously well, but they say that please, not when you speak, please come to our speak our own language for us.
I see.
So the connection coming down to the level of the people is absolutely important. Thank you so much, Conrad. I see a few comments. Please put your comments in the chat box. Thanks for the insight. Thank you very much. From Nyamavo, from Evelyn, he says, thank you too. Somebody says, very insightful presentations. Thank you so much, everybody, for that. I see somebody says, my camera. I was seeing that it was shaking, so I put it off. Well done, apt, very educative. Now, there are a few questions, Conrad, that is coming through. Joseph Nyako asked, in terms of leadership, communicating, is it, in terms of leadership communicating, is it important for a leader to back his word with moral life, which I think our leaders in most key positions lack, I think. And the second one noted, thank you for the presentation. My question is, in a presentation that there is a pulpit, how should your posture be, and how does one handle a microphone when presenting? How does someone's temperament affect communication? So those are the ones. Now let me see if there's one more. Very concise, thanks for the presentation. Please mention the name of, again, I had a network problem. Is it a book you wanted? The name of maybe the author is John C. Maxwell. Many communicate, few connect. Maybe that's what you. So Conrad,
everyone communicates,
now,
few connect.
Yes. You want to take that one, and then we would see. Yep.
All right, thank you very much, all participants, for your questions as well. So the first question was about the moral life of the leader. Should a leader back whatever he says with his moral life and actions? Of course, you have to, because as we said, people are not just listening to you. People are actually watching you as well to see whether you are living what you say. It's very important. And so make sure that as a leader, you get your act right. You get your act together. You get your actions and everything on point. You will not all the time, get it right, but make sure you let people know that you are making the effort, and you shouldn't be in places and positions and in actions or things that will lower your standards, will compromise your message. Because if you're saying A, people want to see A in your life. If you are telling them to limit corruption or to eradicate corruption, they must see you as somebody who doesn't also tolerate corrupt practices, because they would like to get to you as well, to test you, to see whether you're also corrupt or not. So it's very important. Make sure that your moral life is up there. Then also the pulpit. Those on the pulpit communication is one of those that we really need to put all of these, a lot of the things that we are saying, into. And in homiletics, which is about learning how to preach and teach, you have to make sure that you you stand there because the people are looking at you as a representative of Jesus Christ, if you're a Christian, so make sure that you are living that life that Jesus led, and you have that boldness, that confidence to stand on the pulpit to speak to them. And you must be that kind of person also who is not ashamed, who is not shy to speak the way that Jesus would have spoken. So that is one of the things that you should be learning. And look at other preachers as well who are speaking very well, who are communicating well. Look at the way they dress. Look at the way they do their things. One of the people that I always watch, Joel Osteen, though I don't have, I have some problems with some of his messages, but he epitomizes a lot of the skills of a good public speaker. The way he dresses, always on point, always on point. The way he uses gestures to speak, always on point. The way his expression, his facial expression, when he's encouraging you, the way he just makes his face, it just relates to the message that he's giving. And then also the way he uses the stage, always making sure that he's not just at one place. He moves about, and then he makes people laugh a little bit, and his messages are short, straight to the point, 27 to 30 minutes. That's it, not more than 30 minutes. All of us must learn those aspects. So just watch a few of his presentations and see. If you're a preacher, those are some of the things he has learned and learned and learned all of these things before he got it right. And then microphone handling. If you're using a microphone that is handheld, what you do is you use the left hand to hold the microphone, and then you use your right hand to do gestures. In our culture, that's in many African cultures. So I'm speaking as a Ghanaian right now. So in many African cultures, you use the left hand to hold the microphone and then the right hand to do gestures, because we don't use left hand alone to do gestures. That is rude in our culture. Otherwise, if you're using the microphone that is lapel, that is on your shirt, you can use both hands to do gestures, not just one hand. Not just the left hand. You can use only the right hand, but not, just the left hand. In other cultures, European cultures, they don't really bother, but in our part of the world, we are very much concerned about that. But when you go to settings that are regal, royal settings, if you go to the Menchia Palace, that's the chief of or the king of the Ashanti Kingdom. If you go there, for example, or you have a Durbar of chiefs and people, you don't use gestures in communicating. You use the right hand to hold the microphone, and you don't ever do gestures with the left hand. So that is different from the normal setting, that you can use your left hand to hold the microphone and then use the right hand to do gestures. So it's very important that you know all of these things, because once you use the left hand to hold the microphone in front of chiefs, they will tell you immediately that you're not talking to them, you're disrespecting them. So all of these things are petty things that we need to know as leaders, so that we don't disgrace ourselves. Then the last bit is about the book. The book that I mentioned was Everyone Communicates, Few Connect. What the most effective people do differently. And it's a book by John C. Maxwell. And it's a book that you can buy online, or it's very common. If you go to the booksellers, they'll get it for you. It's very, very important. There are a lot of skills there that you must learn as a leader. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Conrad. A few more questions. The presentation is great, and I'm humbled to be part of this. That is, I don't see the name, it's Lewis Music. Please, how do you avoid stage fright? That's what I think he wants to do. From me, Ash, is it good to get angry when communicating to show how serious the situation is? So from Mauku Mensa, do we have some types of voices which do not support effective communication? So maybe your voice, maybe you need to go for voice training. I think that is what he's trying to ask. And maybe you take this one before we go to the next. Does good communication automatically make you a good leader? So those are 3 or 4. Okay, maybe we should add that. Please, as a leader, do you have to be angry with your team if things are not going as planned? So that is WAVO.
Sorry,
okay, so
the question before the last question, what was it?
the question is,
yeah.
Does good communication automatically make you a good leader?
Okay.
Okay. All right, and do some voices not support effective communication? All right. Please, as a leader, do you have to be angry with your team if things are not going well? I think we skipped one here, but Nana Bonsu says, there seems to be a particular person who is always said to punch holes and find fault if in your presentation. How do you go about such individuals? Okay, so take those ones, and then maybe we are getting close to the top of the hour, but we would we would take these ones, and then we will see what we can do with the rest.
Thank you very much for your questions. And so the question about stage fright, here are a few pointers. And later, when we have some more time, we can focus on that, because that is one thing that everybody keeps talking about when it comes to communication. And in fact, there is a survey that says that, you know, if you ask people, you know, what they are afraid of most, you know, it's not death. People are afraid of death as much as they are afraid of speaking in public. Stage fright is number one for a lot of people. So how do you overcome this? Number one, make sure that you prepare very well, which means that get the knowledge, the sense of what you're going to be saying. If you don't get it right, you will always feel jittery, always feel shy and inferior and timid and all of that. But when you know what you are saying, when you understand it, when you really, really have an upper hand, and then a good command of whatever knowledge or field it is that you're going to be talking about, you will have that confidence. So people think that we are magicians. I mean, those of us who are always in public places speaking. No, as I'm sitting here right now, I'm feeling jittery. I am feeling, you know, there are goosebumps, as we all say, butterflies, you know, in the stomach and all. But it's because this particular topic or this particular session, I mean, this is what I've been teaching, reading about all the time. And so I can't come on stage and flop or appear timid when it comes to a topic on communication, because that is what I've specialized in. That is what I've been reading all the time. I've been rehearsing and all of that. So make sure that you get it right. And if you think that the topic they've given you is not your field, or it sounds so astronomical, then you must let them know that this topic, I cannot speak to it. You must be very humble as a leader. Don't think that you know it all and can speak to every topic. No, people have called me to speak to certain topics. I tell them, please, I cannot speak to that topic. And we leave it there. They either have to change it or I'm not attending their event. That way, you also have a control or command over what it is that you're going to be speaking to. The next one is about, if there is absolute necessity that you must speak to that topic, you must research, ask people about what they think about that topic, you know, put together whatever they think, their thoughts, and then present that to the people, and then share your thoughts on the matter. You don't necessarily go and look like an expert speaking to people on that topic, because they will know that no, there is something lacking. And then the next bit is, when you get on stage, after you've prepared, you've rehearsed several times. I mean, before I came for this presentation, though I've been teaching this severally, I've taught this throughout GIMPA, you know, Heritage, and on different platforms. I had to rehearse over 5 different times how this is going to be presented in 20 minutes, because this one is it's not even 3-hour lecture. Our lectures are 3 hours, you know, but each topic that I handled, each slide was supposed to be 3 hours, 3 hours. But I had to put all of this like a 1 semester course that I boxed together in 20 minutes. So always make sure that you understand the circumstances surrounding that particular presentation, and then keep to it, and that's it. And when you get there as well, don't look like the whole world is coming to an end. Look like you are very confident, you know, see yourself, visualization as they call it, see yourself on stage performing and delivering and speaking with such energy and you know, authority over the subject. And you see, they say journalists look like we know everything. We don't know anything. We just try to pretend that we know, you know. So
Yeah.
make sure that you also learn, because we research, we read around different subject matter. So read, learn, research, look at people and how they act, because people can look at your body language and tell that you are feeling jittery. And then the last bit is that move. If there is a platform that you can move, it relaxes you so that you don't just get restricted to one place, because the more you're at one place, the more the adrenaline, I mean, what the hormones that cause you to have stage fright, you know, get you um, get up. And so make sure you move so that you relax yourself. And then the next question is
All
about
right. I'll let you go to the next question,
yeah,
but we want to honor the time
yeah,
of our participants. We've
yeah,
communicated
yeah,
that we are doing an hour,
yeah,
and I thank all of you who held the time. We've done the 1 hour at this point, and so we want to say that at this point, the main presentation is, but we have so many questions coming up. And I think Conrad is kindly agreed to stay on after the hour for a few more minutes to be able to address this question. So if you can stay with us, we'll be happy to learn more with you in the few more minutes that we have. But if for some reason you have to go, we will want to just give you a couple of announcements that are coming up at the Center for Transformational Leadership. Our big event, the Live to Lead event, is coming up on October 9th. And those of you who've been part of Live to Lead in the last 3 years, you know what it is. It's a leadership platform that enables us to renew and bring speakers of international repute. This is organized by John C. Maxwell himself in the US, in Atlanta, bringing together the top executives and speakers who have achieved to share lessons. And this year is going to focus on how we're going to change our world, unlike previous years, this year, because of COVID, Live to Lead is going to be virtual. It's going to be virtual. There's a fantastic virtual environment that has been created by the John Maxwell team for us. And so we are inviting all of you to visit the CTL Africa website, visit our Live to Lead at ctlafrica.com website for more information. The reservation price is $79. This is a special offer for us, because if you register directly with the John Maxwell team, you will pay $110. So this is a special offer, and there's limited time and limited space for this offer. We encourage you to begin to register. Go on our CTL Africa website and go on our livetolead.com website for more information. And if you need more clarification, you have our contacts on the flyers and the information that we sent out. Please do not hesitate to contact us. So that out of the way, I want to just, Conrad, be snappy with some of the questions. There are so many questions, so you have to just try to answer as many as you can in 30-second responses. Okay, so my question, the next one says, I don't know if you've exhausted the first set.
Yeah, just 30 seconds for that. Okay, so another question was about, do you need to be angry with your team when things are not going on well? Obviously, the answer is you will get angry, but the thing is that there is anger that is positive as well. You can use anger in a positive way. You have to be disgusted about the situation and let them know, but you have to make sure that you don't let your anger now turn into something negative that you start insulting them or doing things that will be not, I mean, I'm becoming of a leader. Then the next one is about what is the voice that is good for communication? Well, there's no voice that is good for communication. Every voice is good. Abraham Lincoln, that we've been talking about, he was one of the best communicators, and even Winston Churchill. These were people who had problems. They called it lisping, which means they talk on their lips, but they were people who did great things and fired people up to do wonderful things. So there's no particular good voice, only that you can train your voice to become better. And that's, as Mr. Yim said, you need some voice training. Then also communicating, it says what? Does communication automatically make you a good leader? Well, it doesn't automatically, because there are other things that you must satisfy. And so you need to learn team building skills, negotiation skills, and other things, So it's not just about communication, but communication is one of those key essentials. Then the last bit is about what about people who always have negative reactions to whatever you say? People will always have their own opinions about whatever it is that you say. So don't get worried, but learn to just listen to their side of the story, their perspective, and use it to make a better presentation the next time. Thank you for that.
All right, so thank you so much. The next question, for those who are staying with us, thank you very much. Thanks for the presentation. What is the role of the physical and the way in which, what is the role of the physical and the way in a communication? I'm not sure I understand. For example, some people used to shout or change the tone.
Okay.
So that's one. Can a speaker move through participants or audience when making presentations? That's another question from Charles. The Kofi Nyakun from Canada says, how does corruption affect a leader? Another one, as a leader, how you deal with shyness. Okay. I think you want to say, how do you deal with shyness when communicating to your followers and colleagues? I think it goes to the first one that you have addressed extensively. When your communication connects, your audience very well, but not true, can that be termed as good communication?
Okay.
All right. So you take those ones snappy, and then let's see, maybe you can add this one. What type of dress should one wear? That's one.
Okay. All right, thank you. Now, so somebody was asking about physical, actions and tone and shouting and all of that. Every type of communication and every setting or purpose determines what kind of actions you need to make, what kind of movements that have to be involved. So if you're a politician, for example, you can't go and then preach like a sermon, and asking the people to repent and speak very calmly. No, the people are there to be fired up. They want to see some change and all of that. So your communication has to be different. If you are doing political communication, if you are doing marketing, you are persuading them to buy something. If you are doing preaching, you are asking them to repent or kind of, to contribute money towards a project or something. So your actions and all of that, if your dramatizations, but all the time, make sure that you don't overdo these theatrics, as we call them. Don't go, because sometimes it can get really bad. And so just keep it modest. Your voice modulated. There are certain times you're supposed to shout, other times keep it low. Sometimes you speak very fast, other times keep it slow. That's very important, and it needs some training. It doesn't just come naturally. And then the next one, do you need to move through participants? If the stage is such that you can move, do, because the more you get closer to the people, the more the people feel connected to you. They feel like you're part of them and you really, are concerned about them. And then the next bit is about corruption as a leader. Well, how does it affect a leader? Of course, corruption will affect you. Your integrity matters a lot as a leader. And then also people will not trust you if you corrupt yourself. And so just get the corruption out of your life. Make sure your morality barometer is very clean. And then also connect, if you connect, but what you're saying is not true, well, that way, then it means you've become what we call, there's a name for them, I've forgotten, but a demagogue. Yeah, a demagogue. You know, you're somebody who is just a rabble rouser. You're just saying things, and people are. Adolf Hitler was one of them. You know, so 6 million Jews were just murdered. They were killed in concentration camps just because of the fact that he was connecting with the people, but what he was saying was not true. And that's, you must not be that kind of leader. Then the last bit of it is dressing. Dressing must be to the occasion. If you want to be very formal in suit and tie and all of that, yes, for business presentations and go, get it right. But if it's other, you know, events as well that you want to dress, you know, African wear and project your identity as an African, do it, but it must be smart and nice. That's all.
All right, thank you very much. And for those who are still on the call, we'll appreciate your comment. Give us your takeaway in the chat box, what you're learning, what you're going to do differently going forward, just from what is going, what have you learned today that you're going to practice tomorrow to make your leadership and your communication even better. All right, so the next question is, Dr. Boyson says, good program, keep it up. Thank you, Dr. Boyson. The next one is, please, do you have to raise your voice to get the attention of listeners? The other question is, if you are a multi-talented individual, for example, a talented actor and communicator, media person, or journalist, how can one, I think it's juggle or jungle himself or herself in both professions so he or she is not misrepresented? The next question is, thanks for the presentation. Please, do you have, okay, we've said that already. Thanks for the presentation. What is the role of physical and voice in communication? For example, some people used to shout or change the tone of their voice, okay? It was not way, but voice. But I thought he was answered it. Well, I'm not sure what that is about. Thanks for the presentation. I think we are probably, let me see if there's more at the end. Then if there's none, then we would go. I think, yeah, I think that's it. How do you communicate effectively through someone when there is language barrier? Yeah. Okay. So those are the questions that I can see from here, unless I've missed something. All right. So Conrad, go away. I think those are the last set of questions. Yeah.
So the first question was about, do you have to raise your voice to get the listener's attention? Sometimes it's not about the raising of the voice. Sometimes your silence alone can get the attention. So somebody says, for example, that your silence is too loud, you know, that, you know, I cannot get what you're saying, something like that. But basically what we're trying to say is that you have to make sure that you are using the shouting or the projection of voice. I don't want to call it shouting, projection of voice, because you don't go and give a speech and you are shouting. You should project your voice, which means throw your voice, you know, to the people to reach the very last person. You do that at certain points in the speech when maybe what you're saying is such that the people are so charged up, fired up, and you want to add more of it and to make a certain point or drum home a certain point. That's when you need to raise your voice, you know, to a certain level. Other times too, you just have to be silent. You just have to speak calmly, and that would touch their hearts, you know. And so you have to learn what times to use and the purpose of that particular speech. Then multi-talented person who wants to juggle a lot of things. Well, it's very difficult. In my introduction, you heard that I'm one of those people, who wants to be a jack of all trades, and a master of a few, so we do a lot of things, but the thing is, it's difficult. It's difficult. So you need to really sit down and have a life plan. Many people get lost and distracted in life because there is no plan, there's no roadmap. So what I do is that I have a life plan, and all of these things that I want to do, I have them already mapped out. So I want to do some media, I want to do some ministry, I want to do some teaching, I want to do some writing, I want to do some speaking. How do I get all of these things done and done well? You have to make sure that you put it down, what you want to achieve with your writing, what you want to achieve with your teaching, and that sort of thing. Have goals and certain times that you must do certain things. So I left Ghana Broadcasting Corporation, and many people didn't understand. It was because it was part of my plan to leave at a certain time. And then I found myself again, in a media, environment. Is because that's what I plan to do. So don't just do things because it's well and good, and no, do it because it's part of your plan. And then the last bit of it is language barrier. Yes, certain situations you will have language barrier, and I've had it several times. Many people invite me to MC their weddings, and I tell them, I'm sorry, I cannot do it. Not because I'm not capable of doing it, but I want a local person to do it, because in a wedding situation, there are a lot of people who don't understand the language I'm coming to speak there will be there, and I don't want to miscommunicate. You must make sure that you get somebody attached to me. If you absolutely want me to be the MC, you must get somebody who can translate in the language the people will understand. I won't come there because the language I'm very efficient with is English. And I won't come to a wedding situation and, they're doing engagement or the traditional marriage and I'm speaking English. I don't want to do that. So I will not accept the invitation. So make sure that you get yourself translators if you need to go to a certain place and speak, and make sure that you are someone who is also learning to understand a bits and pieces of some places that you always go to, and understand their language, so that you can also speak to them, because it makes you connect better with their language. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much, Conrad, and thanks everybody. As Conrad hinted, next week we'll be on the leadership platform again with another speaker. Well, there's one last question. How can one control his or her emotion on stage, especially when the message is emotional? So Conrad will add that to his last remarks.
Yeah.
But I want you all to understand, every week on Saturday at 7 p.m. we'll be on this platform. We will come your way and we'll communicate to you next week. We're going to have a very powerful speaker. It's probably going to be leading with emotional intelligence next week. And so please mark the date. It's still on the leadership platform at 7 p.m. next week, Saturday. And we're going to have a very powerful preacher, speaker also to teach us. We are doing all this to help all of us to grow as leaders. Different dimensions of leadership are going to be discussed. So we want to once again thank you so much, Conrad, for making the time. I want to thank Sarah Jesiapia, our partner at CTL, who is supporting us from Switzerland, Isaac, who is brain behind organizing everything, the details, and Kofi, our tech guru, who is also orchestrating all the technology to work. Priscilla, thank you very much for all the creatives, and all the CTL team members, Hawa, and the rest. I want to thank all of you, and let's continue to make the platform very insightful for all our participants. Conrad, your last words, and we want to thank everybody. Our contacts are on the screen. This is the CTL Africa website, and contact us. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So emotional deliveries. So sometimes you need to deliver a message that involves some emotions. For example, you need to cry. Yes, you can shed a tear. You have to hold yourself so that you don't go and then turn the place into, a funeral. Well, even if it's a funeral, you have to make sure that you control your tears as a speaker, because if you are the one crying more, then what about those listening to you? But sometimes you need to cry for the people to actually feel that that is exactly how you want them to also feel. If you need to laugh, laugh out loud, but make sure that you control it such that it doesn't become too overly dramatic. And then the next, my remarks, closing remarks, you must learn as a leader. Don't ever stop learning. Make sure you always imbue yourself with knowledge and find out from other people who are doing right. And then also you must practice. Practice makes perfect. That statement is still true. And then observe others as well who are doing very well in your field, your role models, and then also assess yourself all the time. Stop back and play some of the videos that you yourself you have recorded, and then watch and see whether somebody would watch this and pay for it. I wish you all the best. It's been wonderful having you here on the leadership platform. And thank you so much, the Center for Transformational Leadership Africa team, for inviting me. I'm very grateful. And I'm always excited when I have a platform like this to be part of this generational organization. Thank you very much. And I'm out.
Thank you so much, Conrad. And thank you, everybody. We appreciate your time. Have a good evening. Take care of yourself. Yeah. Protect yourself from COVID. Wash your hands. Sanitize your hands when you're in public. God bless all of you. Thank you. Right. Okay. People, everybody is gone.
Okay.
Conrad, thank you. Brilliant. Good
Angela,
comments.
Angela, please make me host. Quick one, please.
Okay. 1 second. Where are you, Isaac?
So thank you so much, Conrad. Sarah, thank you. Yes, in a quick.
Sir, please hold on. Sir, please hold on. Sir, please hold on.
Okay.
Sir, please hold on.